So in this session, we are going to discuss about different routes of administration and also collection of blood from laboratory animals. So coming to feeding, or it's also called oral gavaging, as one of the routes of administration of drug. Uh, Here, hold the rodent in hand carefully, then measure the tube length from nose to the last rib of the rodent and mark it. Give a gentle tight grip at back of the neck so that it opens its mouth widely. Push the rodent head slightly upward and back to straighten esophagus, and then either from right or left side of the teeth insert the tube by gentle rotation to avoid the resistance. Now slowly pass the tube, observing for the swallowing reflex, and when desired length of the tube has been inserted, inject solution with the help of the syringe. Uh, A safe volume to gavage rats and mice is 10 ml gavage solution per kg of body weight. But do not force. If any resistance is met, remove the needle and reinsert. Do not aspirate. Once the needle is properly placed, administer the material. So here, gavage is often used in research settings instead of mixing substances in water or food to ensure accurate dosing of animals. It's a small curved metal tube. Usually you can see here different sizes of these tubes in the picture. So it's a metal tube usually with a ball on the end, that is feeding needle, is often used with small rodents. Entrance may normally be obtained without anesthesia using ordinary hand restraint, and the ball prevents trauma to the esophagus and oral cavity. So next route of administration is intraperitoneal, that is IP. Here it is injected into the abdominal cavity. Uh, these methods typically produce the highest bioavailability of the substances, because these methods avoid the first pass effect of hepatic metabolism compared to oral gavaging. So commonly used in rats and mice, since muscle mass is so small and veins are difficult to find. Rapid absorption almost as fast as intravenous, that is IV, due to large peritoneal surface. Now IP administration, that is intraperitoneal administration, results in a faster absorption into the vasculature than subcutaneous administration. A mouse may easily be injected by one person, whereas a rat might require restraint by one person and injection by the other. Volume of vehicle ranging between 2 ml per kg to 10 ml per kg body weight. So here the injection site is usually on the animal's lower abdominal quadrant, as you can see in the first picture. Insert the needle at approximately 45-degree angle. There are 3 points that you need to pay attention: position, angle and drawback. First, the position of injection is in the abdomen, not too high, not too low. If too high, liver may be hurt. If too low, bladder may be hurt. So second, the angle should be about 45-degree. Then third one is, after the syringe needle has been in the abdomen, before injection you should draw back the stylet to see if can draw out something. If not, you can go on. If draw out blood or urine, that shows you have failed. So next is intravenous injection. Intravenous, that is IV, is nothing but directly inserting in the vascular system through a vein. So it is the most efficient means delivering substances to animals because it bypasses the need for solute absorption. So it's technically difficult, and the use of restraining device with appropriate size for the animal to be injected is often required. It is performed in mice and rats. Use the lateral tail vein located on the either side of the tail, as you can see in the second picture. Uh, and also you can use ear vein of rabbit. Uh, the tail vein is difficult to find, that's why mouse is often placed under a heat lamp to promote peripheral vasodilation. Uh, Suitable for large volumes, must inject slowly. Next is subcutaneous. So subcutaneous is nothing but injected under the skin. So the best spot to inject subcutaneously is the loose skin on the back of the neck. A mouse may easily be injected by one person, whereas a rat may require restraint by one person and injection by the other, as you can see clearly in second picture. Not suitable for large volumes, suitable for some insoluble suspensions. So coming to procedure, lift the skin over the back to form a tent, as you can see in the second picture. Place the mouse on the wire lid so it can hang on. Now scruff the skin over the back and tent it up. Insert the needle at the tent base. Hold the needle parallel to the animal's body to also avoid puncturing underlying structures. Aspirate to ensure that the needle has not entered a blood vessel. Now withdraw the needle and then press the skin to seal the needle's exit hole in the skin and to prevent the fluid from leaking out. So coming to intramuscular injections, that is IM. So intramuscular injections result in uniform and rapid absorption of substances because of the rich vascular supply. It is not recommended in mice and small species due to their small muscle mass. Smaller volumes are administered intramuscularly than for subcutaneous delivery. Suitable for ECPAs or specialized report preparations. Now coming to procedure, one person restrains the mouse by this scruff method with one hand and steadies the leg to be injected with the other, as you can see in the third picture. The second person aspirates and level up, direct the needle caudally, that is towards tail, if using the caudal thigh muscles, or cranially towards head if using the quadriceps. It is very important to avoid injuring the sciatic nerve. So aspirate to ensure that you have not entered a blood vessel. If no blood is seen, slowly inject the material. So next one is intracardiac injections are injections that are given directly into the heart muscles or ventricles. So here it is technically challenging. It is given under anesthesia to the left ventricle. Here nude mice are much easier to give intracardiac injections compared to haired mice. So coming to blood collection from experimental animals. Uh, there are two methods. One is terminal blood collection and the one is non-terminal blood collection. So coming to terminal blood collection, it is done either after uh, sacrificing the animal by physical stunning or after submitting the animal to general anesthesia. Here the blood from such animals can be collected by withdrawal of blood from vena cava or aorta after performing laparotomy, or animals are subjected to uh, exsanguination after decapitation. The jugular vein or carotid artery is exposed given an incision and blood is directly collected using a syringe. Or blood can also be collected by retroorbital bleeding of smaller animals like mice, rats and hamsters. That is, we are going to study this in later slides. So coming to non-terminal collection of blood, it is required for single or multiple withdrawals. Different peripheral veins of different animals may be used for collection of blood. For multiple withdrawals, the amount of blood sample should not exceed 1% of total blood volume every 24 hours. For single withdrawal of blood, up to 15% of total blood volume doesn't adversely affect the animal. Withdrawal more than 15% may lead to cardiac failure. A single withdrawal up to 15% of total blood volume can be repeated after 3 to 4 weeks from the normal healthy animal. So coming to technical aspects of blood removal, one is blood removal of blood from the tip of the tail. So as you can see here, removing blood from the, just pricking the tail or cutting the edge of the tail and collecting the blood sample. And second one is blood from superficial veins. So as you can see here, collecting blood from the tail vein by inserting syringe and needle. Third one is retroorbital bleeding. So coming back to collecting blood from vein, here lateral tail vein is used to collect blood. Blood can be collected from on the either side of the tail. Here the tail vein is difficult to find. That is why mouse is often placed under a heat lamp or to promote the peripheral vasodilation. Now coming to retroorbital bleeding. This technique is useful alternative to tail vein injection. Here the mouse should be anesthetized so that it remains still during the procedure. Any inhalant anesthetic can be used, by chloroform or diethyl ether. The needle is being placed in the retrobulbar space, that is the region behind the globe of the eye, as you can see in the picture, and then collecting the blood. Last one is cardiac puncture. Now cardiac puncture is a suitable technique to obtain a single large good quality sample from a euthanized rat or a rat under deep terminal anesthesia. F coagulation parameters, a separate arterial or venous sample or cardiac histology are not required. It is appropriate for all strains of rat. A sample of 10 to 15 ml of blood can be obtained depending on the size of the rat and whether the heart is beating. When the heart is beating, so collecting the blood by puncturing the heart when animal is half dead, half alive. So blood samples are taken from the heart, preferably the ventricles, which can be accessed either via the left side of the chest, through the diaphragm, from the top of the sternum, or by performing a thoracotomy. So blood should be withdrawn slowly to prevent the heart collapsing. So here this technique or cardiac puncture should not be used if the peritoneum needs to be lavaged to harvest cells, as this technique can cause blood to escape into the peritoneal cavity.